Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. I know that we just prepared a chicken soup recently in a video, but today I'm making a turkey soup with some leftover turkey from Thanksgiving. It's a soup I have never made before. I just tried to put some really good ingredients together, also very healthy ones. So let's see how this turns out. The first thing I want to show you is back here, I am making more turkey stock with some leftover bones from our turkey. And as you can see, it's simmering very slowly. And all that I have in here is just the carcass from the turkey, some bones, onion, celery, and carrot. That's it. I put some fresh herbs, parsley and thyme, and a bay leaf. And I'm going to let that simmer for about 3-4 hours. I'll skim it, strain it, and put it in the freezer for another soup down the road. So in this pot right here, I think you can see that the bottom is slightly brown, and that, as I've already shared with you in other videos, is called fond. What I did is I had some spicy turkey sausage left over from our stuffing. I had one link. So what I did is I just took the one link, diced, just kind of chopped it up a little bit and seared it in the pot. So that flavor is at the bottom of the pot, which I think will add good flavor for the soup. So the first thing we want to do, I did put a tiny bit of olive oil at the bottom as well. I'm going to turn my heat up and we will start with our mirepoix, which is carrots, celery, and onion. And I did it a lot more chunkier than I would with the chicken soup. As you can see, it's pretty much all kind of half moons. I took one onion, diced it, and then 2 stalks of celery and 2 carrots. So let's get this started. I'll turn the heat up a little bit to start to sweat the vegetables, and once they start sweating, I can then turn it down. So let's turn this up. And then we can also start to scrape up the fond into our vegetables. This is all of the dark meat of the turkey. So I have almost 4 cups. I'd say closer to 3. About 3 cups of diced. I diced it, or you can shred it. And I do want to release the water out of the celery, carrots, and onion. So I'm going to add a little bit of diamond kosher salt, about a half a teaspoon, to start to release the water. What I have over here, some barley. Barley is very good for you, and if you don't have any barley, another grain that you could use is farro. So let's just keep an eye on this. Let's talk about what I'm going to put in for flavor for herbs. I have here just about 4 sprigs of parsley and 1 sprig of thyme, which I tied with some butcher twine. I do have 1 bay leaf. All of this, when the soup is done, will definitely, you just remove it. And here I have about a tablespoon of chopped thyme, fresh thyme, which I love. So those are the herbs I'm going to be putting in with the soup. Another herb that would be wonderful with turkey would be sage, of course. So if you have some fresh sage in your garden, you could chop a little bit of that up and put that in your soup as well. I have some barley. I already made some turkey stock before Thanksgiving, so I would have it ready for my gravy. So we're going to start with about 2 quarts of turkey stock. It looks really nice, but if you don't have any and you don't want to make it, as I'm doing over here, you can certainly purchase stock in the supermarket. So I'm thinking I'm going to use anywhere from 2 to 3 quarts. And if you need to add a little extra, you can always add a little bit of water. Actually, when I was growing up, my mom, we always had soup. We had a bowl of soup every day growing up. And she, most of the time, made her soup with water. So you can certainly use water and add whatever They used to have these, and they probably still do, in the supermarket, little bouillon cubes. And she would put bouillon cube in to add some more flavor to her broth. So you can do that as well. Okay, now another ingredient that I'm going to put here is tomato. I'm going to just start with a half a cup. I opened up a 14-ounce can of the small diced tomato, and I'm going to start with a half a cup and see if that looks like enough. So let's put that in. You can always add just a touch of salt to your tomato, and we will stir that and cook that for a couple of minutes. At this point, I can go ahead and add my cooked turkey sausage. And I'm going to put in my herbs. And because I like a little bit of spice, and there is a little bit of spice in the hot turkey sausage, I'm also going to put in about 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. You could also use cayenne pepper, or if you don't want any spice in there at all, just don't put it in. But there's a lot of benefit, especially for the heart, with red pepper flakes. So that's why I like to put it in. So just 1/4 teaspoon. If I didn't have the sausage in there, I would probably put in 1/2 teaspoon. All right, this is looking really nice. So just a little bit, just so that I can go in and scrape up all that flavor into the vegetables. Then I will add the rest of my stock, and I'm going to let that simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes until all the vegetables are really nice and tender. So this is about 4 cups of turkey stock. And obviously it got very quiet now. And here's another 4 cups. I'm going to go ahead and cover this for a minute and just talk about a couple of other ingredients. So we have our turkey, which I will leave over here. We have our barley, and I think I'll start with about 1 cup of cooked barley and see how that goes. And I have 1 can of Goya small white beans. You could use chickpeas, you could use cannellini beans. I think any bean that you happen to really like. I'm going to use the white bean, but they have so many nutrients here and vitamins, and very, very good for you. So that's why I'm putting some beans in there as well. Then at the very end, if you want, you can put in some cooked kale, you could put in baby spinach, you could add whatever greens that you would like to add to your soup. If you feel that your soup needs a little brightness, a little acidity, you might want to have a lemon juiced and ready to go, and maybe add a little bit of lemon juice to your soup just to make it a little brighter. But we'll wait and see on that. I'm just going to taste the broth just to make sure there's enough tomato in the broth. I think it could use a little more. So here is my can of diced tomatoes. I'm just going to put a couple of more spoonfuls in here, just to get a little more tomato flavor in there. That is it. I'm going to bring this to a boil. I'll let it simmer for 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and add our turkey, our beans, and our barley. Cook it for another 5-10 minutes, and our soup will be done. So our 20 minutes is almost up, and I just wanted to show you how I keep this covered partially. And the reason is because I don't want the broth to evaporate. So that's the reason why I cover it partially. And I think you can see it's just boiling very, very softly, not hard, which is what you're looking for. So here's 1 cup of barley that I'm going to put into our soup. Or you could use farro. Let's just put that in there. See if that's going to be enough. Otherwise, we can add another cup. And this is 1 can of beans. And let's also put in all of our turkey. That looks like the broth is sufficient, so I don't think I'm going to add any more broth. And let me just see if I have enough barley in there. Now, let's just bring this back to a simmer, let it go for 5 to 10 minutes, and the soup will be done. So I just want to show you that I did chop some fresh parsley, which I will garnish over the top of each serving. This is probably a good time to decide whether we want to add a little bit of acidity, a little bit of lemon juice here. So let me take the cover off. I have a spoon here, and I'm just going to taste the broth to see if I feel that it could use. Now keep in mind, I added tomatoes here. Tomatoes also has acidity, so you don't want to overdo it. So I'm just going to taste the broth. And I do think that it could use a little bit of acidity. So let's start with about a tablespoon of lemon juice. Give that a stir. So let me taste this now and see how it is. I think we can add another tablespoon. Oh, that's really good. Okay, I think this soup is ready. So let's put some in the bowl so you can see it. My bowl is nice and warm. That's why I had it over here on the stove, to make sure my bowl is nice and warm. A little more broth. And we will just take a little bit of parsley. And I don't chop it too fine, so you can actually really taste the parsley. It's not just for garnish, but it is for flavor. Okay, there's our soup. Looks wonderful. Thanks again, everyone. See you again soon. Bye now.